Hey there, BookTube. Noah. Everyone who reads and must converse is the channel. Thanks for coming back by again for sure. And today I'm going to talk about an amazing book. This is a book that I wonder where I've been all this time, right? This is my first book by Virginia Woolf, and it is called The Waves. Wow. Okay. What Virginia Woolf is doing in this book is completely awesome. And I see it as she's trying to write an immortal story. And what does that mean, right? An immortal story is this kind of thing that is of a universal quality for all humanity, for all human beings, something that will equally affect and apply to people's lives no matter who they are, no matter what their culture, no matter what time period they're in. That is what I see that Virginia Woolf is trying to do here. There is a lot of allusion in this book, allusion to other works, things like that, and all of them of immortal nature. Things like Percival being a character of not one of our main characters, but Percival the fool, the one that goes on the quest, right? And also a lot of kind of allusions to Wagner, none less than the Ring Cycle, the Ring of the Nebulon. It's an amazing story. Let's get into it a little bit. I'm going to just talk freely about it. This book's been out for a while, and when it comes down to it, you can't spoil this book. It is an amazing piece of literature and told in a very unique style. We have 9 main chapters, each with a heading of a page or two that are allegorical in reference to the story. They are story of it starts with the sunrise, and then the second chapter, the sun is gaining, uh, higher in the sky. The day is starting. Midpoint of the book is noontime, and then the latter half of the book, the sun is setting. Right. So we have our frame of a single day, but what we pass through with our 6 main characters, and it may sound like a lot, but let me tell you, after the first chapter, I knew these 6 characters by name and knew, had a good sense of who they were in relation to each other, because Virginia Woolf is a master like that. We have Lewis, Bernard, and Neville, and we have Susan, Rhoda, and Jenny. And they are all in the same place. They are all at the very beginning. I see it as like we're in eternity, like in an eternal time. Everybody is talking at the same time. Everybody is talking to each other. And are they really talking? Every single thing, every single part of this book is Bernard said, Lewis said, Neville said, Susan said, etc. But it seems like, especially in that first chapter, that it is almost telepathic communication, that they're all in the same place at the same time, and the dialogue, if it can be called that, is delivered in first person simple. That's what it is, and it is happening right now, and it is happening to them. What they are saying is now, and very, very simply, that's just what it is. It is very cool, but very unique in that kind of way. As the second chapter, third chapter start going on, we have more and more differentiation, and we have more elongating of time. It seems like they become children in the second chapter. In the first chapter, they're not exactly anything. Like they're immortal beings living in an eternity and just saying what they see, what they're perceiving, what is happening, and they're all very content with life, just living through. But it's not like they are living in time like that. The time starts in the second and goes throughout the rest of the book, and we see, and I felt this kind of like elongation of time as it goes through to the last chapter. And also that the characters, Bernard, Susan, Lewis, Neville, Rhoda, Jenny, they all become more and more differentiated as we go along. And it's how they deal with this kind of thing. Virginia Woolf's voice is amazing. She's super smart. Like, Virginia Woolf is one of the smartest authors that I've ever read. How to perceive people that are so different and view the world from such a different place and have them be illustrated effectively. Virginia Woolf must have been able to see these kind of things in people that she was around with. It might have been a horrifying gift, is what it comes down to. But it is beautiful for us to have writing on this level. And so when I see these characters talking about each other and gaining their own insight as to who they are by reference to each other, that's all you're getting in this whole book to figure out what the characters are about. And it's amazing. I mean, it's completely amazing. I will say that the voice is the same throughout the whole novel. It's almost like there's this other narrator, this other voice that is Virginia Woolf, that is able to say what it is from a character's point of view, from completely from their point of view, but in Virginia Woolf's words. So Jenny is, for example, a person who is very physical, and she's very much living in the present every single moment, and she is living life and embracing life and all about life in the present and physically doing. And that's what Jenny's all about. But her sections are delivered with just as much eloquence and perception as Lewis or Bernard, for example, who are very learned and live a more, Bernard is a very extroverted, always talking to people, and a student of humanity. And also, like Neville is not not into people at all, more of a loner, a solitary, isolated person, and that is delivered with just as much eloquence and that kind of thing. Some of the things that I saw is that Virginia Woolf says this in here. It is in near the end, but it's not, like I say, it's not a spoiler. There's no way to spoil these things. Bernard ends up being our voice, our voice. And so I think that Virginia Woolf very much relates to Bernard as far as his outlook and his perception of the six main characters as a whole, but also Rhoda, who is actually very, very different than Bernard, almost as different can be. But these perceptions, there's none that is right and none that is wrong. So Bernard is describing very mundane things that have happened and says, all of these things happen in 1 second and last forever. That kind of thing is hearkening back to the idea that I said at the earlier here, is that there is an eternity where that we are occupying, but we act out in time. And so everybody is being in these series of moments, but time itself is kind of feeding into eternity, and there is an eternal now in which everything is just lasting forever and always there for other members of humanity to draw upon, right? Things like that we can see in our world is art and literature from times past, and also historical movements, politics, all this kind of stuff informs us now that everything is actually in an eternal place. One thing that I do want to say about that, though, is that it is shown very much that causation and order itself, that causation being time and order being, how the human mind imposes a story on what is happening, and and different people derive their meaning from their stories that they're making up. That the order and the causation are not inherently meaningful at all. They don't have any meaning to themselves, to their essence. They just are. And human beings impart meaning and give meaning to those things by our stories. And it's very well done. It's awesome. So responses to stimulus, whether that be what somebody else says most of the book or what somebody else does. There's quite a few things that people do in their actions, in their mannerisms, and when they're talking with each other. There's a couple of scenes in this book, a couple of chapters where all six they come together. They're living their life, and that, like I said, they become more and more dispersed. But they come together and they're having a dinner together, and they all get into conversation with each other, and we see how they deal with each other. That they are seeing themselves, what they are, in reference to others, to the others. That's how we gain our meaning of who we are, is by how much we are like or unlike other people. And Virginia Woolf is doing this on a very high level. And at first, when this happens, it is a wonderful discovery that you are your own person, right? But through life, this kind of thing becomes the thing that brings loneliness, and nobody understands me, that kind of feeling. And that is worked out in a lot of ways as well. So a lot of viewpoints, almost all viewpoints, I would say, Virginia Woolf does a masterful job at showing the differences in humanity and making it seem that nobody is wrong, that we are here to live like this, and that we are looking for meaning to life. And where do we find our meaning? Well, it's in the stories that we identify with, in the stories that are based on our experience and our experience with other people, differentiating ourselves from others. I would never do that. That's how I would act in that kind of situation, or I would never be like that, and then drawing that kind of line, and then you sit somewhere in relation, and it's all relative. The waves and the ocean and flowing is just a theme that goes all through this book, and it's beautifully done. But there is a sense of fighting to live and fighting against the waves of time, the flow of time. And that is the system. That is the system of the world that we're in. And to find ourselves in that, well, we have to make choices, right? We have to make our own way. And it's all about the choices that these individuals are making in the way that they choose to perceive the world. With age, differences become more pronounced. We become more set in our ways where we've planted our flag. And some are more have made a smaller box for their life than others. Some are very expanded, but there is no right or wrong there. There is only the spectrum of human experience, and it's done very well. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts that's read this. Like I said, my first Virginia Woolf, but I will be reading more. I think the next one is going to be To the Lighthouse, right? Because that is just lauded all over the place by Virginia Woolf. So thank you, BookTube. It was a really fun read. And give me your thoughts down in the comments. Bye bye.